Parry Talks. The tables have turned.
I'm getting interviewed.
Yeah, you're getting interviewed. How do you feel right now?
I'm actually interested to see. I put people through hours of conversation without real regard for their, well-being. So I'm like to see how much this breaks me.
Yeah, well, as our friend James outside, I caught him as he was leaving, and he said to me, he turned around and he goes, "Give it to him, Caitlin." So
I don't think I'm that grilling in my interview style anyway.
no, I think it's good. I think from my experience on this podcast, it was great.
Feedback's important. I feel like I've scared some people off. Like Lex hasn't sent me a message since I posted the interview. She's just like,
She's still getting over it.
She's still recovering. Like, it's just no, just kidding. She's cool.
You guys had a mad chat. I really enjoyed listening to that conversation.
That was one of my favorites by far.
Yeah. Well, I guess for those who are listening to Parry Talks, I guess we don't really know a lot about you, Parry, as a person, and your kind of background in music. So I wanted to start by asking, tell me about yourself as a music journalist, where you got started, when you got started.
Oh, it all began. I think it was like year 9 at school, and only the true ones know this. Actually, not most people knew this, but Parry's World. I started this random blog because, like, my partner at the time was like, you should, like, just review songs. Like, you care so much about this shit. I'm sick of hearing about you raving about albums and shows and stuff. Like, you should just review them yourself. So I'm like, you know what? I might. Yep. So I started this, like, Tumblr blog. Didn't even know what, like, WordPress was or any of those website things. I just had it on Tumblr. And then reviewed concerts I went to, like, big ones. Like, just the craziest shows. I was like, well, bro, you killed it last night. So just reviewing concerts, writing articles, and then hitting up artists in their DMs for interviews, which was, like, not a good idea, but it worked. I got some cool interviews back then. And then I'm just writing for ages, writing about everything. Like, and if an album came out that I liked, I'd write about it. Literally anything. And then I just gained traction through school. Did a bit of shit posting on that Facebook page as well. It grew, like, fucking big. I had this one viral post that was, like, massive. Ended up getting the Facebook page, like, 600 likes, which is massive.
Do you remember what it said?
Yeah, it was like some fucking... I was just shitting on J. Cole. It was funny as, though.
And was it controversial, though? Is that why it kind of blew up?
I was just, like, shitting on J. Cole for being a mumble rapper or something, and it blew up. I DM'd all these shit posting pages, and
that's mad.
Went crazy.
And then it's gone viral.
Yeah, I got picked up by a couple blogs. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Like, when you're writing and stuff, people send your stuff around, and I was writing for Oz Music Scene.
Yeah. And
my whole point, like, after that point, I was like, you know what, I don't give a shit about music. I just can't afford these tickets. So I'm like, I was writing just to get passes, which I think everyone starts there. I think Kev, who I had on as well, said that I started being a music journalist because I couldn't afford to get tickets to the shows. And then, like, before you know it, I just, like, ended up actually caring about it more than I expected to. Got involved in, like, all these weird underground scenes in Sydney. Got recruited by PS. Yeah. Sniped by Purple Sneakers.
Sniped. That's a good word.
And started a podcast.
And now we're here.
And that's, like, the quick version of the story.
Yeah. And do you remember your very first interview? Who was it with?
It was with Ziggy Alberts. I did Ziggy Alberts' first interview ever.
Yeah.
For Oz Music Scene. I just used to stand him so hard. I went through my little folk phase. I'm like, I'm going to have really long hair, go to the beach and drive around Australia in a caravan type phase. And he hit us up and was like, hey, like, saw that you reviewed some of my shows. We've met a couple of times. We're looking to do, like, our first interviews. And I'm like,
oh, cute.
I just wipe the tears away. I'm like, I need to focus. I need to write an interview. And gunned that out, and it was just like a Q&A. Like, I sent the questions, like, in a list on email. It's like, tell me which ones you want to answer and tell me which ones you don't. And, like, I didn't hear back for, like, a month and a half. I'm like, oh, no. He sacked the interview. And I was at school one day, and I got the email notification. I'm like, bro. Yeah, it was crazy. Ziggy Alberts. Fuck.
That's a good first interview.
Man, it was crazy because he was so small at the time, and now he's, like, one of the biggest Australian artists, and he's playing Hordern Pavilion in, like, a month.
Are you going along?
Yeah, hell yeah. I go to all those shows. Like, I go to the shows and just cry, like, the whole time. I'm like, I love this human being so much.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him on.
Shout out.
That'll be a huge Parry Talks interview.
Well, it seems like a common theme throughout all of the Parry Talks interviews that all people that like you personally are really interested in, whether that be your work or their work that you're interested in or their music that you're interested in. And obviously Parry Talks is something you've been thinking about for a while, but was there like a particular moment where you were like, I'm going to do this?
Oh, Parry Talks has been like years in the making. And if you talk to my friends at school during year 12, they'll be like, I used to say like, I'm going to start a podcast, I'm going to interview people long form. And they're like, yeah, okay. Like, yeah, you will. And I only had like the balls to start it this year. Mainly because I didn't know where I fit in like the music scene. Like last year was just like, I hardly wrote anything. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like I cared about music still, but I was still trying to find my feet in Sydney and stuff. So I'm like, if I started a podcast now, I'd have no one to talk to because I just didn't know, the place I wanted to be in.
Yeah.
But I slowly delved into that, like the dance world and the rap world and made actual friends in the world. Like I hadn't actually made a friend in music before. It was more just like, oh, that's the industry and I'm just over here. Like I'm still a fan.
Yeah.
But like finding that there were like really positive personal relationships that come out of the actual music industry, I was like, I like this little world, like the underground dance scene.
Yeah.
And like once I set my foot in there and like became good friends with Arthur, became good friends with you, I was like, we're ready. Like this is it. This is the time. And I just like jumped straight into it, not knowing what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah. It's hard starting up a podcast, isn't it?
Man, I was sitting in Fisher Library. Shout out Fisher Library.
Yeah.
And me and my friend Nicola were... Shut up, Bill. Yeah, me and my friend Nicola were just studying. And she's like, how's like your music stuff going? It's like, yeah, I fucking hate studying right now. Hey, I'm like, yeah, you should just start it. I'm like, I might. So I made the press release, made the logo, made the Facebook, made the website. I'm just like, yeah, like fuck it. Like just had to dive in. Otherwise I would never have touched it.
Yeah. And I don't think people don't realize, but like with this podcast, you not only prepare the interviews, but you do the interviews, you produce the podcast, you do all the social media and the marketing. Like there's a lot of work goes into it, but does it feel like a lot of work to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's rewarding, guys, don't get me wrong. And
Yeah.
I love this. It's everything. Put so much time and effort. But fuck, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I had no idea going into it because I'm just like, oh yeah, just sit down. Like asking like questions doesn't hurt. Like I'm pretty well spoken. I can just talk for an hour. I probably don't have to prepare much. That's it. But just like every interview, like you come in, you need a photographer if you can. You need to pay the photographer. You need to set the socials up. You need to have a plan for like 12 weeks ahead because you can't just put an interview out then disappear for 6 weeks, then put another interview out 2 weeks later and it'd be staggered. So it's like so much strategic planning and so much just like back scene work that people have no idea about. People just see this pub, and then on the interview day as well, like I'll come in half an hour before the interview, get comfortable with the artist, give them like half an hour to get comfortable with me, do the interview, and talking for like 2 hours is not easy.
Yeah. And
then after they were like, oh, do you want to get a beer? Like, yeah, sure. It's like, no, I got to edit this interview. Like, no, have a couple beers, go home, you're exhausted. Just a process.
Yeah.
Do it all over again. That's tomorrow's problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of work, but I can't complain about it, honestly.
And also from like the logistical standpoint, like these are your microphones.
Yeah.
Like all of this stuff is, brought and prepared by you. Like it's an operation, isn't it?
It is. Well, shout out the fucking Ladson Hotel.
Yeah.
For this space, because like wouldn't exist without this space, and it's just iconic space. So yeah, everything's just like my own doing. Like this room's fucked and I'm not in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what keeps bringing you back to this space?
Oh, it's just so many memories. Like you grew up here. Like every Friday, like we'll come here in the afternoon. It's just iconic as, and logistically as well. It's super easy, safe.
Yeah.
And every creative person in Sydney lives in this area, so it's fine like that. But it's just an iconic venue, and like I'm just so associated with it, so it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sick. And I guess like you're now 9 episodes deep. That's correct, as of this
9
recording.
or 10. This is 10, I think.
Yeah, this is 10. Well, I wanted to kind of ask, can you tell me your kind of mission statement for Parry Talks at the start, and how do you think it's changed over time?
At the start, I was like, I'm just going to talk to my friends. I know I'm going to run out of interviews soon, but it'll be fine. I'll figure it out. And I just wanted to talk to my friends that I thought were cool and I thought had something to say, and I thought they're doing cool shit without regard for like how many followers do you have, or like how's this going to impact the brand of it. I was just having everyone on. If I knew someone that was keen to talk, I'd have them on straight away. Whereas now it's become, I like so blown away and so grateful for it, but people are interested and like publicists are hitting me and people are hitting me up, and it's like, I need to focus on the branding and stuff side of it. So I think it's changed a lot, but I want it to like stay at the crux of that. I'm just talking to my friends, and I want to give my friends a platform that, you know, they can come on and make it like not so much about me, and make it more of a community platform as well somehow going forward. Yeah. Which is what I've thought about a lot.
Yeah, what have you thought about in terms of bringing Parry Talks from this kind of like audio visual world into the physical space?
Big parties.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking big parties. Still in the process of it.
Yeah.
But parties is a big one. I think that having more community-based podcast episodes as well, like even though it is still a podcast, like having it so that it's not just me hosting, or it's not just me having conversations or interviews, it's like album reviews or festival reviews or culture reviews, fashion reviews, anything like that. Or having, say, like, for example, having like labels coming in and doing their own chat by themselves without me involved.
Yeah.
Or just giving me like a creative prod, that sort of thing. So I just want to make it less about me and more about our community and Sydney as a whole.
Yeah. It's only up from here, right?
Hopefully. I don't know how it could go downhill. It's like get cancelled or something, but
and the bushfires get too close.
Man.
We'll talk about that later. But I kind of wanted to ask you talked a little bit before about Parry's World. What has the transition from kind of print to audio been like for you as a journalist? Oh,
it's been the best, honestly. Yeah. So many confines by that like world. Calling someone up for a 20-minute interview and like having to recite it and make it make sense, and you know, it's just so many limitations to that art form of writing, and it's just fucked. Like having like to call someone at 11:45 on a Wednesday morning. Yeah. And like build rapport with the artist, make them trust you, make them answer the questions in a way that you want them to answer them.
And also in like 20 minutes.
Exactly, in 20 minutes. Whereas this is just like, you come in, I'll grab a beer with the guests usually, but like, what are you up to? What's life like? Let them build trust. Come on, dude. Like, a lot of people don't know this about the interviews, but I'll sit down with people for at least half an hour before we actually start recording with the mics on. So it's usually like an hour and a half to 2 hours of actual talking, like focused conversation. So it's just like pure, like just so much freedom. And that's the best thing about it. Yeah. And I think that's something that people don't really understand, the difference between an online interview and like an interview like this is you have the chance here to, you know, personality is such a big part of it. And branding. The 20-minute interview sucks. It's painful. It's a waste of everyone's time. If you get the artist at the end of their cycle as well, they probably answer the same question like 10 times. Yeah, I hated it. Yeah. And like it got to a point where I prefer doing Q&As over calling people, because like Q&As I could just write really long form like creative questions and like let the artist have so much time with them, and they can just write whatever they want. They can pretty much just like, they can have their publicist write the answers if they needed to, like, because that was just better for everyone, I felt, by the end of it, because it's like they got whatever they wanted out of the interview because I gave them a long list of questions and they could choose whichever ones to answer. Yeah. And like it was just easier for me because I didn't have to sit there awkwardly on a phone call like, yeah, I care about you. And also you don't have to transcribe it at the end. Yeah, exactly. That takes the longest. That takes the longest. Man, when I did the feature article for the boys, for the 111 boys, it took me fucking like 4.5 hours to transcribe like an hour and a half of conversation. Yeah. And that was just my tipping point. Can you imagine ever having to transcribe a Parry Talks podcast? And that's why I need an intern, mate. That'll be my intern's job. That's their job. I should get an intern, hey. How is when's too early to get an intern, do you think? I don't think it's ever too early. I think the question is, what jobs do you have for them? Man. Transcribing. I don't know if transcribing would be worth it, though. I don't think you need to for an audio format. No. It speaks for itself. But the socials is fucking so annoying. Yeah. Hopefully have them be able to take pictures and just like helping with this logistical stuff would be nice. Yeah. Getting us waters. Like imagine we had like just like a beer delivery service. Like every 45 minutes, 2 VBs got placed down. That's mad. That's all you could ever ask for out of life, to be honest. No, it's more the back end as well. I think that having, like if I had an intern now, they'd see a lot. Yeah. Of like, this is how this shit works. The process, yeah. So if someone was trying to get into, you know, some editorial stuff,
Yeah.
Like, I get pumped.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask as well, like, what advice would you have for a young person wanting to start up their own podcast or their own, musically creative endeavor?
Get outside.
Yeah.
And, like, people think of the music industry as, like, people in their, like, share house rooms and in offices and stuff, but the best way to start it and get your foot in the door is, like, by going out.
Yeah.
Go to every gig you can. Like, find the people at the gigs and don't be afraid to say hello to people because you've seen them online and you see what they do. Like, just have your ear to the ground hardcore. Like, I wouldn't have any of this if I didn't. Like, I met Caitlin at the Finer Things party off my nut, mate. And, like, I just like, oh, you're Caitlin, yeah? And she's like, yeah. I was like, oh, nice to meet you. And then I saw her a couple weeks later at this other party. And, like, because you've said hello to her once, you can go up and say hello again. And then because the second time, you feel a bit more comfortable being like, hey, I write articles too. And then from there, like, she posted the thing up. And because I'm talking for you, but, like, you saw that I was out, you saw I cared about it. So it's, like, it just makes the opportunity a lot easier as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And even with Lex, like, it's so much easier. This is cheeky as well. It's so much easier for an artist to say no to an interview over an email compared to going up to them in real life and being like, hey, I love your stuff. I care about what you're doing. I have a podcast. Do you mind coming on?
Yeah.
And just, like, personal interaction is everything. So if you can get out, have your ear to the ground, know what's going on, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's key.
Literally everybody I'm friends with is just by, like, being like, hey, like, just a personal relationship.
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
That's mad. And you've got some of your best friends, that you've met out
Out
as
of
well.
music, yeah. And, like, yeah, I love the boys upstairs. They're the biggest assholes ever. But
shout out.
yeah, like, just, like, even that, I came up to them, I bought Connor a beer because I like the music. I was like, hey, bro, like, I like your tunes. It's like, oh, sick. Like, how are you today? And I'm like, oh, yeah, good. I was just at work. I was like, sick. And then we talked for, like, half an hour.
Yeah. And
then from there, I've written how many articles for them, done all their interviews for the past, like, 4 months. Personal relationships, children, I'm telling you.
It's important.
And, like, oh, don't even get me started on industry people that don't go out anymore.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's one of those, I'm very guilty of this, but, like, the older you get, the more you're kind of like, oh, I could just stay in.
Yeah, exactly.
But community is the most important thing.
Oh, no, I mean, like, people starting out
yeah.
and being complacent with it, and then people wondering why aren't the opportunities coming for me? It's like, well, what are you doing for our scene? Like, what are you doing for our community?
Yeah. Exactly. It goes both ways.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think this community is really fostered on give and take.
Yeah.
You can't take without giving, and people will notice.
Exactly.
And yeah.
It's all just, like, creative and human, like, intellectual labor as well.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to do someone a favor, they'll give you a favor back down the line.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, like, don't expect to get paid either.
Yeah,
for, like, 4 years.
If you're in this industry because you think you're going to earn big money, get out now. Run.
The day Parry Talks makes its first dollar, I'll invite all my friends over and I'll buy, like, a $300 bar tab. The day I make $1 from Parry Talks.
That's mad.
If ever.
You heard it. Sponsoring Parry Talks. How do you think Parry Talks draws on Parry's world? Are there any similarities, any differences? Obviously the format, but, like...
Yeah, I think they've both always been fundamentally me. Like, you see, if you saw that website, it was, like, this, like, sky blue sky. These, like, golfing tumbler-inspired tiles.
Love that.
And from the start, it's always been, like, my friends and what I can do with my friendships and how I can build them. So that's the exact same now. My taste has changed, like, tremendously. I used to, like, not listen to that much hip-hop, which, like, is the weirdest thing for me to say. Because, like, that's everything for me. Hardly listen to any, like, house or techno at all, which is, like...
So weird as well. Yeah.
I was, like, into, like, indie stuff, and... So that's changed, I reckon, the most. But other than that, like, because I've been at the crux of it, and I've always been the biggest fan of everything that whatever I've done. It's, like, my personality is so engraved in everything. Yeah. So that's what's the main thing that stayed the same.
Who would your dream podcast guest be?
Tyler.
Yeah. Why?
And
why?
And I say this at all my interviews, like, education. Like, I look to people, I'm like, who would teach me the most on this thing? And, like, I do this is, like, it's the platform in itself is super selfish, because when I started it, I was like, how can I learn more about this world without just sitting down with people and asking them massive favors to teach me about everything they know in an hour and a half? I'm like, well, I could give them publicity from it. So education is everything, and I feel like Tyler would teach me the most in life about anything, because that man is everything.
Oh, like, definitely. He's very obviously, you know, you're wearing your golf shoes. It's like very obviously someone that you look up to.
Yeah, he's everything. Like, and yeah, education is everything, and then just he's like from everything, from just the way he talks and the way he like pushes like certain colors, or the chords he uses in his music. It's so intricate to my taste. Yeah. So I'd love to be able to delve into that and see where that really comes from, because like it's almost like, and you've probably had this experience as well, it's like, is this artist writing songs and making clothes for my taste? Yeah. Like it's fucked. Like before Eagle came out, I'm like, I love just like a soul funk album from this man, and then it came and I was like, this is fucked. Like,
it's everything you wanted and more.
Literally, and that's why I just love to dive into that. And his taste is so, like, there's a certain level of music nerd that I see in him that I see in myself. Yeah. Where it's like, he'll just name, like, he won't even call songs by their actual title. It'll just be like track 7 from this album. Like 7 from, like...
And you'll be like, I know what that is.
And people will be like, what's your favourite songs from Eagle? I'm like, 3 and 7. And they're like, what? I'm like, 3 and 7. Like, I Think and A Boy Is a Gun. Yeah. Or like 2 from Flower Boy. Like, Where This Flower Blooms. Like, don't even get me started.
You've got it all mentally mapped.
Literally,
What about more locally? People that you'd love to interview? More Australia-wide, Sydney-wide?
I'd love to reconnect with Ziggy, because I did that first interview when I was a kid and he was like busking on the streets, like living homeless.
Yeah, so, it's a full circle moment, hey.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it would be a full circle moment.
Well, he's playing Horton Pavilion. I'm still doing a podcast in a pub. So.
But like, you're doing a podcast in a pub, you know? True. This is your own. This is your
I'd
thing.
love to reconnect with him. Yeah. Who like, you know, exactly what I'm about to say. My like second biggest. Well, Tyler's more for me. It's more like a admiration thing. Yeah. Not so much a copy thing. Yeah. But like more grab, I copy everything. Like.
Oh, we've talked about this before. How, like, you know, Steel City has fantastic branding, and that's something that you admire about more grab as well.
That crew is everything for me.
Yeah.
Like.
Why?
Just the tunes are fucking banging. Like. They matched my taste the whole way through. Like my first introduction to house and stuff was like lo-fi. And we got a bit more soulful, a bit more housey. Now it's like 140 BPM, like breaks, like.
Oh yeah, relentless.
Yeah, just like. Yeah. Fucking headache music, and like they've mapped that perfectly. Their art is incredible. The way they've brought like a town and a city and like mapped that onto the world is so admiring.
Oh yeah, Steel City, baby.
Like exactly, and that's fucked. And like if someone like I would love to be able to champion Sydney the way they've championed Newcastle, because like there's absolutely nothing like it. And I feel like a lot of people in our scene are so quick to be like, oh no, I want to make music for Europe. Yeah. I want to piss off to Europe. But then they've been like, this is like Steel City dance. It's like, we're going to take fucking Newcastle, this like town, city, northern New South Wales, and taking it to the world and throwing parties all over Europe. Like, I admire that so much. Yeah. And Jordan is like, more grabs the prettiest human being I've ever fucking seen in my life. Look at this haircut.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. Shout out Jordan.
I want to send this to him. Yeah, so them would be everything, I think. Yeah. Oh, fuck. I listen back cringe because I just stand these people so hard.
But it's like, you know, I think there's a reason why you do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's good to talk about that.
Yeah, true. I like, because like the thing is as well, I love on the other side when I hear someone talk about something they fucking care about so much.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I'm doing it to someone else.
The passion.
Man, I care so much about this shit.
This is a bit of a like question that's going to force you to be a bit self-aware, but what impact have you noticed that Parry Talks has had? And is there anything that you've noticed in particular since you've started?
Well, one, on my like, I don't feel I ever had, like, for myself, impact on myself, I felt like I'd never been properly mentally fulfilled, like, or mentally rewarded. Where it's like, I'd put out so much effort and I'd get the same amount in reward back. Yeah. It's like, Parry Talks is the first time I've ever felt genuine reward for the hard work I put in. Yeah. On a community point of view, I don't know. Hey, like people have come up to me at certain shows and like, oh, you do the podcast, like that's sick. Thanks for like actually giving people a voice and stuff. But right now, like the main one that I've got is feedback from the guests. Like that means so much to me, and like the way that like after every episode finishes, like thank you so much. Like I'd normally be the one thanking them, but like thank you so much. You haven't like fucking like you just given me the platform to say whatever the fuck I want for an hour. So I think that's the impact I want to be having right now, and I need to be thinking about, and the community shit will come later.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully I have an impact on the community. I want this to be a community platform at heart anyway.
Yeah.
So hopefully our little Sydney dance scene can sort of indulge in this and be more of a part of it too.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned before you wanted to take this platform into a physical space as well. Like that's, you know, that you're just building on that, you know.
Yeah, and
it comes with time.
Parties are fun too.
They are fun.
Like,
I think there's an art to throwing a good party in Sydney these days.
Yeah, and I haven't really been to too many shit parties. Venues is just really important.
That's the hardest thing, I think, since the lockouts came in and all those venues closed. I, as someone who throws parties, it's like that sometimes I would not throw a party because I can't find the right venue for it, and I feel like other promoters would feel the same way. And
you see, like, my friends will throw parties in the same venues for 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's definitely an art to throwing a party. And
definitely,
I think,
yeah. And like, why stray from something that's working, you know?
Exactly. And,
yeah.
Yeah, but they're good venues and they're the best. Like, Universal is like heaven's godsend to Sydney. Like, what would we do without that venue?
Yeah.
Because that's where the best shit happens by far right now.
Yeah.
Frida's as well, close second.
Yeah.
But like for a fuck off club night, there's nothing better than a Universal party at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. What have been some good parties you've been to?
Oh,
lately?
that Human Movement one.
Yeah, it was good.
Shout out Eddie, baby. He's gonna come on soon, I reckon.
Yeah.
That was so much fun because that venue blurs the lines between headline show, concert like show, and club night perfectly. So he'll come up and he played like an hour and a half to 2 hours of unreleased Human Movement music.
That's sick.
And like, because we're on the label side of you, we're so proud of it. We can hear it and we can see that like these unreleased songs that no one's heard before going off. Had all the visuals going as well. And then, so it was like proper headline show. It felt like a concert. Felt like we were at like Metro Theatre and everyone was like super engaged. But then Bulk Cut was on before and Bulk was just spinning like turbo tunes and it was so much fun. Everyone was just like, yes. And then Lexi and Lewin after, just like, who are like my favourite residents by far because they just play quick house.
Yeah.
And
they bounce off each other really well, don't they?
Man, just energy.
Yeah.
I remember, like, because I was, like, so tired. I was guarding the stage for Human Movement, like, running all these shit errands. Like, that show. So I'm exhausted just, like, waiting, like, just for Human Movement to finish so I can go to bed because it's just, like, such a long day of work.
Yeah.
Because those shows are so much work for, like, when you're on the other side. And then they just came up to the side stage where I was standing, and they're like, hey, Parry. I'm like, how are you? I'm like, I'm so tired. I'm like, come on. We're about to start playing, and like just brought the energy up. And then when they're on stage, their energy is incredible too. Yeah. Yeah, they play some good tracks as well.
They do. They're good selectors.
Eddie Diamond had the best conversation to me about that word.
I literally spoke to her about 2 hours ago about this. Okay, can you please relay to me what Eddie Diamond said?
I do not remember. I have to follow up on it. But like this was at Out of Leisure night at Harpoon Harry's, which was super fun, super hectic. And, like, she was the last person to come through as well. So I just had to navigate her through. Be like, hey, your set time's here are your drink cards. Have fun. And then I was like... And then I asked her some random question. And the way Eddie is, she speaks so amazingly. Like, you ask her about one thing and she's so knowledgeable. And she'll, like, lay it all out for you and educate.
Yeah. And
she just went on this rant about Selector. And I'm, like, so tired. But I was so engaged. I'm like, this is the best conversation I've ever had about, like, a word. And just all these, like, origins of the word Selector. I need to follow up on her about it, but it was fucking incredible.
You know what she said to me? She's like, I'm really glad I got to have that conversation with him. It was really good.
It was so good.
Yeah. And,
like, I walked out after that, and she was just DJing, and I'm like, wow. I just learnt so much. But I need to follow up on it. She's the best.
Selector. I wanted to ask as well, you've talked a little bit about Of Leisure. For context, what have you been doing outside of Parry Talks?
So, I'm obviously Purple Sneakers sub-editor.
Yeah.
Sort of fallen off a bit, but summer,
we're getting there.
I'm going to be pumping out articles like you've never seen a boy pump out articles before.
Let's do
And then I'm the Of Leisure intern. So shout out Lima, shout out Joe. I'm their little slave. They snuck me out through the podcast, actually. So they saw the podcast. They're like, hey, you work hard. You care about the scene. You know so much. We need like someone on board just one day a week. I'm like, okay.
Sick.
I'm gonna pull up. And then I just like go in there, help them out with all their releases. So you get like Human Movement, Young Franco, Muto, got this monster Made in Paris song coming out as well.
Yes.
And just helping, like, just trying to find out as much knowledge as I can about how people put records out and how it really works on that side. And
Yeah.
because we manage some of these artists as well, so the management side of view as well.
Yeah, and it's different with a label like Of Leisure because they're attached to a major label, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're seeing that entire different side of it as well.
So that label is crazy because we have our own little corner and a little space. It's got like Of Leisure, we have like some nice decks and stuff, and like we'll just be spinning like the nastiest tunes while we're all working and stuff. And every now and then someone will walk in from Universal like, oh, I've got a meeting. And then we all just sit in like actual professional and stuff. While like these random, like, I don't even know, like people from publishing or people from PR will come in and be like, okay, so what do you guys got coming? And we're like, oh.
Let me just turn off this fat
track.
track.
Yeah. Like I remember we were playing, the last time someone walked in for a meeting, I was playing Jensen and Assembler Code Turning Heads, and that is like the most fucking noisy song ever. And we just came and said, hey, we've got a meeting now, and Joel's like, turn the fuck off, like, what are you doing? I'm like, bro, I don't know. So he turned it off, and then like it was fine, but like it's really is the best of both worlds. So you get fuck off label and indie label as well.
Yeah.
In the one, so it's super interesting.
Yeah, it's good. Best of both worlds. Hannah Montana. I know this is a question that you've been asked a million times, but I'm going to ask you on the podcast anyway. Is producing something that you've ever thought about doing?
No.
Yourself? What about or DJing? Producing a
DJing is different.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I've seen what being a touring artist does to people and their personal relationships, and I would not wish that upon anyone. So, because I'm a bit, like, not even close to being on the fence about it. I'm, like, 90% no way, 10%. I'm not even gonna touch the 10%. Fuck that.
Yeah, not even gonna indulge.
Yeah, because I've just seen what that does to people, and it's fucked. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm just staying as far away as I can.
Yeah.
DJing is different. If I had $1 for every time someone said, you need to DJ, I'd be fucking so rich. Because they're like, oh yeah, you've got this, like, you got so much character. Like, not to talk myself up, you got so much character, Parry. Like, you do so well. Like, you dance and stuff. You have good tunes. I'm like, maybe I should. But if I look to throw parties and stuff, I think that I definitely need to, just for it to be a staple of the brand.
Yeah, like a Parry Talks DJs.
But I'd never aspire to be like a big touring DJ or anything like that. It'd just be for my stuff or like a support stuff for Of Leisure, stuff like that.
Yeah, community
building.
Yeah.
And like, if I want to go back to back with a friend or something at one of these parties, or I need a DJ for a rapper or something like that, it's obviously a good little weapon to have in the back pocket, knowing how to do that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think DJing would not be good for my ego either. Like, my ego is a dangerous thing, and anything to inflate it is probably not a good idea at this point. But yeah.
I think you could do it. I think you have great taste.
Do I have great taste though?
I think you do.
What would
Flower
I spin
boy
though?
into mall grub.
Man,
That'd be a set.
I just have dreams of opening sets with Eagles theme. Like, just this fucking, it just starts with like this one bass called like, it'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
But there's so much crossover between hip hop and like soulful hip hop stuff and like the soulful house stuff.
Yeah.
So I see a neat little niche
there. Yeah, you can make it work.
Opening.
Day parties.
What about them?
It's just a good vibe.
True.
Day party vibe. Speaking of parties, what are you looking forward to in the next couple of months?
Oh. Obviously that fucking, in January, that high Kedama.
Oh, and Black Loops?
Black Loops is fucked.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go there because I've got Freddie Gibbs
Oh, sick.
that night as well. So I'm going to finish up with Freddie Gibbs and go straight over.
Yeah.
And then just cry of
Yeah.
happiness. Those Finer Things parties all over summer are looking so much fun. What else is there? There's a heap I'm going to. Oh, Lou and Lex Deluxe Riviera.
Yeah.
Some other people on that lineup that I'm forgetting as well. That is going to be so much fun. Because Riviera is the GOAT. Like, so cool. It's like ultimate steez. Lexi's Lex. Like, she just caters to my taste so perfectly. And then Lewin's EP I love so much. So that'll be an awesome night. That's, I think, on the 30th.
Is that for Lewin's EP release? Yeah.
That night as well, we've got a little of leisure party happening as well at Cafe Lounge. We're not sort of headliner yet, but it'll be Strange Associates.
Very cool.
Joel will be DJing as well as of leisure DJ, so I might go up and
have a wiki.
That'll be fun. I'm just trying to think, hey, fuck. There's a heap of them.
There's a lot going on. I think there's a good mix of club shows and like bigger shows, if that makes sense.
Lost Paradise.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Every year, I went last year, and on my way out, I'm like, I'm never fucking stepping foot into Glenworth Valley again.
And
fuck this.
Here you are.
I'll head back over for there. Human Movement's playing.
Yep.
So watch that. Hopefully get some Parry Talks stuff going there.
Yep.
Should be fun. Still in the works.
TBA.
Hitting Harbour Life this weekend.
Oh, sick! Who are you excited to see?
Well, we're going with Eddie, like with Human Movement.
Yeah. Is Green Velvet playing, or was that last year?
I don't know, probably.
I want to put Harbour Life on blast for a minute here.
I think Harbour Life's such an interesting festival because there are these two worlds in dance music that are so far apart.
They're very polarizing, aren't they?
It's fucked because we've got like our underground scene, we'll have big Universal shows and stuff. And then there's like Harbour Life and like Electric Fields where it's like just like 126 house. It's like, woo.
Yeah.
And like there's such a disconnect between those two worlds. And that's why I'm like super interested in how a Human Movement set, which is very this side, especially with the new stuff he's putting out, fits on like a Salado and like Duke Dumont stage.
Yeah. And I think also looking at like the kinds of people that will go to that event, like you said, it's going to be, there's that underground community. But I think the difference between the people in the crowd is there'll be people there because they're part of a community, and there'll be people there because it's like, oh, my mates are going, or like, oh, it's cool to go. But I don't think either are a bad thing.
No, I'd love to be
just
that crowd.
Interesting crowd.
Yeah, we need and that's
yeah.
Like, even though it's shit to say this, like we need our underground community to sell out.
Yeah.
Like, we want those people to know about these events and stuff.
Yeah.
Because, one, the artists make shit tons more money when we're selling much bigger venues.
Yeah.
2, we make more money in the music industry.
Yeah.
And then 3, it's just like, there's no longevity in an underground scene if we're just keeping it to a little secret to ourselves.
I don't like gatekeeping.
No, I hate it.
I think that is one part of this underground community that I felt really locked out of. There are a lot of figures that tend to be a bit gatekeepy.
Yeah. And just like if we preach an open community, let's live up to it.
Yeah, exactly. Inclusivity shouldn't just be exclusive to your community. Yeah. It should be inclusive of everyone.
Yeah, don't judge people if they're not wearing pelvis or Pam. Alright, fuck. I went to a party once and I didn't... What party was it? No, I'm not going to say it. But once I went to a party, I wasn't wearing pelvis or Pam and I felt like a fucking outlier.
It's not.
And I had my long hair as well. I didn't even have my cute little house haircut. And fucking, I felt so haircut. Judged.
Aww.
Fuck.
That sucks.
No.
Because you probably went for the music.
No, I didn't feel judged. I know I'm the coolest person at every event I go to. So.
You are. It's true. You heard it here first.
Someone prove me wrong.
In the comments below.
Fuck, I hope no one listens to this.
Well, we've moved on. We're talking a little bit about Sydney. And, we talked before, you're like 9 or 10 episodes in. And I love that you've got guests that range from being like industry professionals to curators, DJs, artists, and producers, everything in between. And although these people are really different, there's a lot of similarities between them. So I wanted to ask, have you noticed any common themes across your discussions?
I found that, well, I'm attracted to people that care about the shit they do. Yeah. And because a lot of them have been friends so far, they've all had that common link. Like, this isn't... And a lot of them are very looking forward at the moment. It's like, who we got? The 111 boys, very looking forward. Like, they know that they haven't been so far from making it, whatever that means. Finer Things, like Arthur's vision is so huge. The 111 vision is so huge. The Purple Sneakers vision is so huge. The Lex Deluxe vision is so huge. So getting people at this point where they're so passionate about what they're doing and how forward-looking they are is what, like, is the main thing that I've seen come from everyone. Yeah. Even like Louisa with Athletica Like, I'm trying to think who else I've had. Nina, like, as well.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's so forward looking, and I think that catching people at that stage has like made it so fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Rather than them being like, oh yeah, come my publicist here. Yeah, like, okay, what do you want to ask about?
Yeah.
What are the influences for the last album? What's changed between the last album and the new album?
How'd you get your name?
Nerve as well. Forgot to mention him. He's like one of the coolest people I've had on, and he's so just excited and passionate. So yeah, like that's been the common theme. Just catching people when they're about to go.
Yeah. Well, with Nerve was your first interstate guest.
Yeah.
And obviously, talking to a lot of people from Sydney, there's a lot of cultural shifts happening. You would have talked about that.
Yeah.
What was that like, having a discussion with someone outside of Sydney? What did you talk about?
Nerve was the first person I had on that I hadn't spoken to before.
Yeah.
Or hadn't had a very good conversation with before, or hadn't like messaged before, called before, like actually been a friend of before.
You're just a fan.
It was legit. Well, I didn't even like think to hit him up. I saw the tour come out. I'm like, could be on. And then his manager just like, hey, we love Parry Talks. Can we like pull up? And I'm like, that'd be fucking incredible. So from that, like because of that interaction and the way that they approached us, I was super confident about it. But yeah, it was super cool. I think that the differences is not a whole lot really. Yeah. I feel like people from Sydney, I think actually the one thing is I shit on Sydney a bit. People from Sydney like so highbrow about our communities and stuff when we've achieved nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas people from other states can come to Sydney and be like, wow, there's so much here, there's so much more opportunity, and they're a lot more grateful for the opportunities we have in this city. Yeah. Instead of people from Sydney just like, oh, fucking lookout suck. Whereas if like someone tours Sydney from Brisbane playing headline shows and they're super excited about, oh, look at all these studios, look at all these people I can collaborate with, look at all these like media outlets I can hit up, look at all this press I can do, look at all that stuff. So I think that was the main difference, I reckon, between like there's a lot more Sydney optimism. Whenever he spoke about Sydney, it was super like, oh, I'm in Sydney now, so I need to make the most of this opportunity. I need to make the most of this week, this next fortnight. I've got a show in 2 weeks in Sydney. I need to make the most of the 3 days I'm here. Yeah. So that was super the main difference, I think. I think we need to be a bit more grateful for what we have here structurally.
Definitely. And it's hard to be critical of something when you're kind of in that bubble.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I complain about this Sydney all the fucking time, so I can't say anything.
Was it refreshing to have a conversation like
best.
that? That's
yeah,
cool.
I love that guy. He definitely opened up new eyes in terms of where this thing can go. Yeah. Because as I said, like, I expected to not have, not even the 111 boys on for at least 6 months. Yeah. And for them to come and then Nerve to come through as well was super inspiring. Yeah.
And how has that change in mindset, how do you think you'll carry that going forward?
I think, and like not to be rude about it, I got to be a lot more selective about interviews. Yeah. And like I love all my friends and I love having them all on. But going forward, it's like I need to find like that proper niche for Parry Talks. Yeah. It's easy to just be this broad sweeping, like I'll fucking interview anyone and everyone. But I think narrowing it down now is going to be super important. Yeah. And not narrowing it down in the sense of who I can have on, but more how I'm going to roll these episodes out, branding wise. Yeah. So like it's fun to have the podcast go through all these rappers when they share it on their stories, but I want to tell the stories of the dance community as well, super like badly. So I think that figuring out how to roll that out and make sure these two things can align and maybe get some crossover going. Yeah. Is like what's changed the most about it, instead of just being like, I've got finer things on this week, and next week I've got this rapper from Brisbane. Yeah. Like I need to figure out how to do it a bit more tactically so that I can tell every story equally. Yeah. Well, now that you're about 10 episodes deep, you've had the chance to play with the format, work out how long it takes you to do everything. So yeah, you've phase one is complete kind of thing. It's crazy. Well, this will be this will be like the first episode of phase 2. Yeah. Nerve was sort of a bridge one. Yeah. But then phase 2, I want it to be dancey as fuck. Yeah, sick. I want Sydney. Any turbo selectors to come through, I dare you. Hit us up. Thinking of doing a mix series as well, but I don't think so. I don't know. I think it's good to have ideas. Yeah, I just like asking artists for mixes fucking sucks. Yeah, it's hard. 'Cause I've done so many of them. I love getting asked to do mixes. It's pretty fun. A nice excuse to do a mix. Yeah, exactly. And maybe just like 20-minute, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, but next phase I want it to be nice and dancey. Yeah. And not worry so much about how many followers or how much growth I can get from an episode or, who's touring here now. Just make it like... Who's doing their thing. Yeah, let's like get people in that are cool. Yeah. especially now that people listen that like organically. I don't need to like not just the people's fans are listening. So if I can get someone on that's doing cool shit and have them talk about life,
reach a different audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bring them to the Parry Talks audience.
Yeah. And bringing it back to your conversations, just kind of on a macro level, what do you think seem to be the most pressing issues for artists and industry folk alike right now?
Well, for me and for everyone, like from a boring point of view, it's money.
Yeah.
I've like made like $200 in like 4 years of music. People don't know that shit. Like, it's fucking so hard. So making money when you're starting out as an artist or in the industry or as an interview person is fucked. It's so hard. Like monetizing shit is so hard.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing something on such a niche level. But like on a more community level, I think that just like we're just gonna maximize every opportunity we can get and be grateful for any opportunity people do get.
Yeah.
It's like if you see a party, go to it. Like if you see a warehouse party or a lame party and it's safe, go to it. If you see an event at Frida's that you're sort of interested in, go to it. Yeah. And that way it'll fix everything. But I think that Sydney is well beyond its shittest time.
Yeah.
So everything's on the up, which is super exciting. And
yeah, they talked a little bit ago about the lockout laws supposedly being scrapped by phased. December. But I mean, whether there's only a couple of weeks until that window closes, so whether that's going to happen, who knows? But what do you think a post-lockout Sydney is going to look like?
I think it'll look a lot. I think it's not going to change as much as people think. I think there will be more venues, and that's going to be everything. But in terms of the lower level stuff, but if you're interested in people that are touring internationally club shows, we have the exact same people here that play in Melbourne. Yeah. And they'll play the same venues, like not same size venues. I don't think it'll change that much. I think the parties will be longer. The parties will be better. Yeah. But in terms of like, whoa, like fuck, our scene is like the best in the world now overnight.
Oh, it's not gonna happen.
Don't expect that. And I think a lot of people are expecting lockouts to vanish and then everything being fine again. Yeah. But like things are fine now. And just like embrace it and just don't think about it, because I don't think it's going to change as much as people think.
No, I think on an underground level it's not. I don't think it's going to change much, because I feel like that industry or that community is thriving now more than ever. But when you look at those kind of like mid to higher tier shows, like I definitely think what's needed in Sydney now is like a perception shift more than anything.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
It's just like information asymmetry. Like people saying that the lockouts are gone is going to have like that like mission, that statement coming from the government is going to change everything more than, like probably not more than, but like to the same level of like the actual logistical changes. Yeah. So when like people hear that the lockouts are gone, they're going to want to go out. Yeah. If people hear that the lockouts have fucked Sydney, they're not going to want to go out. Yeah. It's like just putting that information out there and that detailing is so important.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because we talked about this on our podcast, how like more than anything what's hurt Sydney has been the narrative behind the lockout laws. So as soon as it's coming from an authoritative figure that, oh, these laws are gone.
Yeah, exactly. That'll make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of hope it does, but I don't know how much things will change.
Festivals are fucked though.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
They're still talking about bringing that legislation in, right? Yeah.
Was that though?
I think it was further up.
Okay, good. I just can't. Like,
festival. What do you think? Yeah.
I don't know what we can do. Like, there's no, like, it's just so, it's such a hot topic of just like the wrong people having the wrong conversations, and it's swaying.
With the wrong people. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that industry, like, I think the industry unions, the festival unions just started, which is a good step, but like boomers are having like a big say in this festival conversation. It's like, what?
And I think it's hard because when you look at who is impacted the most by these regulations, it's the businesses that are fronting these festivals, and they're not even getting a seat at the table to have these conversations with the government. Yeah. So, don't know.
I just
don't know. The government, I think you could say a lot about the New South Wales government and what they do, but I think a common theme with them is that they will just blindly have an idea and they stick to it and they don't consult anyone about it.
I think this festival season is going to be super interesting in New South Wales.
Yeah. What do you predict?
I don't know. I think that the Lost Paradise numbers are going to be fucking huge. Hopefully the days like this numbers are going to be huge. Yeah. Laneways, like fucking quadrupled their venue size.
Yeah.
I just want to see like the result of that and see how the perceptions change, but I don't think they will.
How do you think pill testing is going to play into all of this?
I don't see the New South Wales government doing shit on pill testing for ages.
Oh, no way. No, well, not this government anyway.
No, exactly. So hopefully other states push it, and it's like, this is the thing, it's like, even if every other state in the country said it was legal and it was working, and all the reports said it's working, and everyone says it's working, like, at the current stage of this government, no one's going to budge.
Yeah.
But I do see it as a step in the right direction, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's just like, everywhere else is doing it, like, how are we so far behind?
Yeah. You could say that about a lot of things, I guess. New South Wales is far behind on a lot.
No, but like Europe. Every festival in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
Pill testing.
Definitely. And
even
how many
Groovin.
deaths do they have, you know?
Even Groovin.
Yeah.
Groovin the Moo in ACT is further ahead than us.
ACT is pretty progressive though. They just
not to shit on Groovin. I just wanted to have a dig at Groovin.
I think Spilled Milk they were talking about potentially having it as well.
It's just like, it's just another thing as well. It gets people excited. Like, if it's just a perception thing as well.
Yeah.
If you're making going to festivals not feel like a scary environment, people are going to want to go to more festivals.
Yeah.
Whereas if like the narrative on festivals right now is just there's fucking cops everywhere, there's dogs everywhere, you're going to get strip searched whether you have a dog on you or not.
Yeah. And
that's the narrative of it, and it scares people away from festivals. And I've been scared of going to festivals because of it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well, I think
we need that narrative to change.
Yeah, you only have to be kind of involved in this industry to know at least one person or a friend of a friend who was illegally strip searched.
Yeah,
or,
mood.
You know, exactly. You only have to speak to, you know, a handful of people, and there's 20 people that have already been wronged, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to tell that story.
Yeah, talk to me. What happened?
Working to Bad Friday, I was reviewing for Oz Music Scene.
Yeah. When was this?
Bad Friday.
This
April long weekend.
This year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is nothing on the Bad Friday event organisers. I love that festival. That was one of the most fun I've ever had at a festival. Super positive festival. I love that place. Such a safe, great place. Walk in, I'm like so tired from the night before, had so much uni work to do, didn't pre anything, came by myself, had a media lanyard, walk in, the dog sits, I'm like, fucking hell.
Oh.
Like, I can't do this right now. I wanted to see some band on the stage, started in like 15 minutes, I'm like, here we go. So like, they treat you like a fucking criminal. Like, this isn't like, before they've proven anything, they're like, don't speak, put your hands together, don't move your hands, and walk like with us. And then so they walk you through and your hands are like this. Like, they're just like locked, like pretty much handcuffed. Because like,
they're if you yeah.
So like, I accidentally move my hands like this and I can, like, fucking had a knife in my throat. What the fuck are you doing? Yeah, anyway, so they walk through like that, and they put you in this like little fucking tent, literally no bigger than like...
It's like a meter squared kind of thing.
Literally.
Yeah.
Put you in the tent, and then the big cop fucked off back with the dog, and then I was with two younger cops, just like normal, being super cool, fucking legends. Wish I had these people's like numbers and stuff, because biggest shout out. They're like, alright, we're just gonna wait for this guy to come back, he's got your ID, he's just gonna check your history and stuff. I'm like, yeah, sick. And he's like, you don't have any like history with drugs or possession or anything? I'm like, nah, I'm like zero.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do drugs, I don't take drugs, I don't drink. Like, that's just the narrative option. Like,
yeah.
I'm here to work. Like,
yeah,
I need to see these artists.
Pass.
Yeah, like, I need to see these artists. I need to help these artists with their logistics and stuff. I need to do press and stuff for these artists. I'm like, oh yeah, that's sweet. Like, he'll come back, it'll say there's nothing, we'll tell him that. It'll be fine. And then you'll go. It's like, they're just giving like a pat down, so it's my shoes, my socks, and like, yeah, he's sweet. Big cop comes back with my ID. They're like, oh no, he's here to work, he has no history, and they're like, yeah. And then the big cop was like, no, I reckon we search him.
Oh.
I'm like, mate, this is fucked. And then the big cop fucks off, and this poor girl and guy cops, the girl cop walks out, just like gives a nod to the younger cop, like, just fucking hurry up with this.
Yeah.
I feel bad for this human being. So that like the young guy's like, just like, fucking, I'll be back in 30 seconds, take your clothes off. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is so fucked. I felt like the biggest criminal. It was fucked. Like, I still like going to festivals, and I like scared of the dogs and shit because of it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I'm just standing in this thing fucking naked waiting for this guy to come back in. He like gives me one look. He's like, just fucking give us a 12. Give him a 12. He's like, get some clothes on, get the fuck back in the festival, mate. And then it was like super quick. Like, the strip search was super quick because the two younger cops knew that it was fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And the older cop just had some vendetta against me with my long hair and my mode. Fucking who knows what.
Was there a big cop presence at that festival?
It was fucked. So the festival is literally in an alleyway. So like, think of any lane.
Yep.
Or like
It's
any...
in Marrickville, right?
Yeah, any normal suburban street width, that's how big it is. And they had 4 cops, just like guarding it at the front, not like inside the festival. So once you walk in, there are 4 cops just waiting, and then a cop with a dog. So it's like the whole way across.
Wow. So you can't even escape it. The moment you walk in, there's police.
Yeah, or they don't go further into the festival because fucking people shit on them and stuff.
Yeah.
People start abusing them.
Yeah. But that, obviously being strip searched, there's a lot of murky laws surrounding that. And like whether police actually have a right to strip search people if there's no, if they have nothing to...
there was no...
Yeah, there's no reason to suspect you of anything.
Yeah, there was no like reason at all.
And how did that impact the rest of your festival experience?
Fucked it. I had the shittest day that day.
Yeah.
I ended up getting really drunk just because fuck it. DMAs were sick though.
Yeah, that's good.
I was like... Because, that was the only thing keeping me in. I'm like, I fucking love this band so much. I'm going to see them. Like, it'll be fine. I just got to hang in. So I just, kept pumping beers. I wasn't really feeling it because of how fucking, racing my mind was.
Yeah.
And then watched DMAs. Avalanches are playing. I'm like, woo. But then when it's a bit more chill, you sort of reflect a bit more on, what happened. I'm like, fuck, I'm so fucked.
Yeah.
Mentally. I need to get out. So I went to kick-ons and just, broke at kick-ons. Ask anyone from that kick-ons. Oh. They'll know. It's just, I was just, done. I'm like, I need to go to bed. I'm like, I love a kick-ons. And shit was getting passed around, everyone was having a good time, and I'm like, everyone's like, what's wrong with you, Parry? I'm like, I don't know, hey.
The strip search just rattled you.
Yeah, I was just fucking done. And now I asked my brother anything. We were walking in to listen out, and I was like, oh, what time does 111 start? The first act I want to see start. It's 2:15. It's like, oh, we need to be there by 1:30. I'm like, why? And he's like, why? It's like, oh, what if one of us gets strip search? It's half an hour. And I'm like, and he's like, you're fucked. I'm like, yeah, I am a bit, hey.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fucked.
And how has that moment impacted any other festival experience
All
that
of
you've
them.
had since then?
All of them. I need to go so early and shit.
Yeah.
I get mad paranoid about it because I just assume it's going to happen again.
Yeah. Do you feel like you were unfairly targeted?
Yeah, hell yeah. I walked in by myself.
Yeah.
With long hair and a mustache.
With a media pass.
With a media pass. And obviously there's a stigma around people that work in the music industry that aren't the artists to take drugs in for the artists. I didn't even see the dog sit, to be fair. But I'm not gonna push that narrative.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the dog probably did sit. But yeah, it's fucked.
Different when you're in the situation.
Yeah, I was just so rattled by it.
Yeah. But
shout out to those 2, the younger cops that were being fucking legends about it. Because they didn't need to be.
That's good. Yeah, they've probably been in that situation where they go to a festival and they see how bullshit it all is.
And we got to think these people are trying to do their jobs as well.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, don't shit on a cop for doing their job unless they're being an actual dickhead about it.
Yeah. But also the system itself is
so
broken.
fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think it's much more easy to blame the system, and it's right to blame the system rather than blame some poor individual cop that's caught in it.
Definitely. Yeah. Because
cops do good things normally.
Yeah.
Most of the 99% of the time.
Some of the time. Depends who you are.
Depends where you're from.
Yeah, exactly. I think Sydney has developed on just a lighter note, Sydney has developed a really welcoming and energised underground during this lockout era. Yeah. Do you think repealing the laws will kind of compromise that in any way? I
think that scene is so secret, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Those Rimbobo parties we were talking about, or the warehouse parties, and Eureka did their fucking Mary Street party, and then they did the big after party after that. I didn't see the fabric of that going anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I feel those people and us that are dedicated to that scene want to see 82 DJ in some random fucking garage in Marrickville. The space they have there is so nice.
Yeah.
We'll stick to that, and I love that scene, and I don't see it going anywhere.
Yeah.
Unless City ends up making so much money where Eureka or Nectar or anything like that can throw parties in fuck off venues.
Yeah.
And they can make shit tons of money. Only then would it disappear.
Yeah.
But then once they go and they sell out,
yeah,
there's going to be a new breed of underground promoters anyway, so.
Yeah. And I don't want to speak for those people, but then you look at the kind of parties that they throw and you think, is that something that they would want?
Yeah.
Getting those big opportunities, is that something that
Nectar did a big Lansdowne party, I think 2 weeks ago.
I feel like Lansdowne's become a real unofficial rave cave kind of thing.
It is. Upstairs there is really nice.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, Palvers have a party there too, so traditionally fucking very underground, doing hard tickets now.
Yeah.
Just trying to think.
The Output after party was there last year.
Yeah. It's a good little
We had our birthday there for Public
Exactly,
Speakers.
yeah. What a night.
You were lost that night.
I'm lost so many times on nights out. If you find me on a night out and I don't look like I want to talk, come talk to me because I do want to talk to someone.
Yeah, it's true. He's probably like, who can I talk to?
I need something.
Stimulating.
Like just like rubbing my chest, someone talk to me.
What am I doing wrong?
Literally. Yeah, I don't think I see that underground scene staying strong. And even if it does disappear, because they've got onto bigger and better things and they're booking sick acts and making shit tons of money, there'll always be like a new brew coming through.
Yeah, it's a microcosm, isn't it? You
Exactly,
know, like you go up the food chain, someone else replaces you, sort of thing.
And there's a heap of like finer things sort of disappeared from that world because they just do 600 ticket shows now.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're still driving that culture.
Exactly, but then there are all these underground promoters that are just like so heavily influenced by finer things, and you can tell straight away that are throwing cool parties at like Bolos and stuff and doing, you know, international acts at Sly Fox and stuff.
Yeah, just cash.
Just cash.
I've noticed there's a lot of other forms of like music media that has been popping up in the last couple of months, like Parry Talks, for example. There's been a few documentaries as well, like Her Sound, Her Story, also like the RA documentary recently. How do you think other forms of media are changing the perceptions of our community?
Well, I think it's... I think...
In a good and a bad way, I guess.
Well, not to shit on anyone, but if people are making new forms of media content, more people are going to be engaged with the culture. So that's fine. Yep. All publicity is good publicity to an extent. So I'm happy for independent creators, and like we need them to be independent creators outside of the, you know, traditional media forms that we have, to be making these documentaries or doing interviews and stuff like that. Or like doing it alongside FBI, with FBI and working with FBI as well. So I think it's good, and like any sort of media publicity form that people are actually actively engaging in, whether it's just an industry platform or it's an industry big platform, not so much a consumer big platform, is good.
Yeah.
Like I think that RA documentary is very industry big.
Yeah.
I think that I'll rave about how shit it is and like whatever, but like who's gonna watch that? Our scene that knows, our like internal scene that knows everything that's going on already.
Yeah, and it's funny because it felt like they didn't make it for the Sydney community. They made it for people outside of the Sydney community, but
I feel like only people that are very well in tune with what's happening in Sydney are gonna watch that documentary.
Yeah.
So when I get all in my head about it, like, it's just like, who's watching this? It's like me and Joel of Leisure, like who are pumping out like underground releases. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what impact does it have on me and him? Not a whole lot, because we know what's going on. But even then, you know, any independent content, any independent media outlet, anything like that is positive in my opinion.
Yeah. It's hard being independent media these days. You would know.
Sucks.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't suck.
It does suck though. It does suck just trying to like keep something afloat that doesn't have influence from something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, this is a copy of Heaps of Other Podcasts. This is just a copy.
Everything is just a copy.
Exactly.
Yeah, what do you think about it?
But no, I think internationally, independent media is fucking everything now.
Yeah.
Like, look at what just like... The fact that Joe Rogan exists is fucked. Like, that is the biggest platform for youth in the world. Yeah. It's like Netflix and Joe Rogan.
I've never watched Joe Rogan ever in my whole life.
It's like...
Explain to me what it is.
It's just a podcast. He just sits down... He's very well informed about a heap of things, and he just talks to people about just like cool people. Yeah. And like I love the comedy side of it because I love comedy. Yeah. But yeah, and it's just like the fact that how big that is fucked. And like if you look at like No Jumper, where like hip hop media traditionally is so, and like I don't really like No Jumper anymore that much, but from a structural point of view, No Jump, like hip hop media is so traditional in its sense of like. There are 4 radio stations that every artist hits up for their press run. Oh, yeah. They'll do these 3 blogs. Yeah. And then they'll fuck off. But then for an independent creator to come up, have a niche in an underground scene, and then now be on the same level as these like Breakfast Club and Hot 97, ridiculous. Yeah. To see that trend hopefully moving here, away from like the Jays and stuff, would be nice. Yeah. And I hope I'm a little part of that. Yeah, I think you are. As a podcast creator, could you recommend any podcasts other than Parry Talks to listen to? Oh, I don't really listen to a whole lot of like podcasts, hey. But if you want a fucking funny podcast, go listen to Tiny Meat Gang. That is the funniest shit I've ever heard. Yeah. Like, It's not an interview series or anything. It's not serious at all. It's just two friends that are comedians who tour together and stuff. And every week they'll just put out an episode talking about like fucking anything, like dicks, like anything. And it's the best. Like it's so hilarious and cool, like just chill.
Yeah.
But I don't really listen to a whole lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
Like,
who are your favorite interviewers?
oh,
There's some good ones and there are some really bad ones, I think.
Sean Evans is fucking incredible.
He's the best. The best.
I steal so many questions from him.
Hot Ones. He's the Hot Ones host, right?
Yeah.
That is probably the best interview.
I think it is the best interview series.
Yeah.
For music right now.
I agree. Or just in general. Did you see his Paul Rudd interview?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah. All the hot ones. Like he's incredible. He's just so in touch. He's so engaging. I think Rick Rubin, any conversation Rick Rubin has with someone because of how knowledgeable he is the best. There's a conversation out now with Pharrell, and Rick Rubin just interviews Pharrell, and it's like the best thing I've ever heard.
That's cool.
He doesn't even have
to another.
Yeah, he doesn't even have to say anything. They just talk. He says one word, and Pharrell goes. Who else is really good? I don't know. Hey, just like, when I watch an interview, I just want to learn about the artist.
Yeah.
And it's more about less about what they're saying and how they like respond to certain questions or how they talk about certain topics or certain like language styles that they use and stuff and how to learn off that. But yeah, Rick Rubin's like one of the best personalities in music, and then Sean Evans is fucking awesome as well.
Yeah, he's great.
Adam 22 is cool as well. Like, fucking not a fan of his like personality or what he's done for that underground scene, but the way he's able to captivate an audience and be his own, like people watch those interviews for him equally as much as any guest that he has on.
Yeah.
And to have that impact on a community is so inspiring. Yeah, shout out him.
Let's see. I wanted to ask, going into this next phase of Parry Talks, have you gone back and listened to the first round of podcasts?
No, I don't listen to them at all.
Yeah.
I listen to them if I think I've said something a bit edgy. Yeah. And I'll go back to that spot. But when I had to cut snippets up, and whenever I cut snippets out, I don't listen to them. I just find the spots.
Yeah.
I just like, I feel like if I listen to them, I'm going to be too critical of them. So I'm like, you know what, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm going to just put them out. Whatever happens in the day happens.
Yeah.
I want to listen to them back after the next round because I'd like to compare them to something. Yeah.
I think being critical of your own work is important in growth, in like forcing yourself to grow. It's hard though.
I feel like I know I'm critical right after the interview. I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to do that again. Yeah. Or like, I know maybe set something up this way better, like right after. I feel like I don't need to listen to them back.
That's good. You're aware of your kind of limitations.
Yeah, I've shat on myself after interviews before.
What's going to be this focus for you going into this next phase?
Dance.
Yeah.
Doof, baby. Well, got a couple of rappers on. I'm going to try get a couple cool Sydney rappers on, but I'll delay those episodes. Yeah. I just want like moguls in our Sydney dance scene to come on and talk and let us know what's good. Yeah. And then just growth. And I want to learn as much as I can, especially over summer. Yeah. Because like there's a golden opportunity where I'm literally interning at Old Village for 2 days a week.
And you don't have uni? No
uni. Yeah. Thank fuck. Like I love uni to bits, don't get me wrong. I'd be nothing without it. But having a break from that is going to be so bliss. Yeah. And just working for money, going out to shows, like for every Friday, Saturday in December, I'm going to something. Yeah. And then, other shows. Garvey all night at Thingo at
Oxford Underground, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's going to be chaos.
That's going to be sick.
I'm so excited for that night. Like, and I think that is the night before something as well. Doesn't matter. But that's like, there's a bender on there as well. Yeah. Ludes at Oxford Art Factory, January the 10th. Yeah. Oh my God.
Is that a Steel City Dance Fest?
Yeah.
Yeah, sick.
BCAT as well and support. Bobby Vibe Positive too.
Mad. Good lineup.
Oh. I'll be two-stepping so hard. And then, but yeah, dancing, going out, engaging, learning, growth. Beautiful. As a person.
That's beautiful. I feel like you've grown a lot since you started this podcast.
Man, I have.
As a person.
I've grown so much since I started at Purple Sneakers.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd love to see what I was like just before that. Like once before I started at PS. Because I think I've changed the most since then.
How? How do you think you've changed?
So much more tired. I live so tired now.
You're also like a week out from exam period at uni, so don't discount yourself. Just
No,
yet.
I'm taking the piss. I think I'm just like so much more mature in what I do.
Yeah.
I built a reputation before that, and during the early stages of like PS and stuff, to be the party boy. And like, I never wanted. It's alright. I never wanted it to like. No, just pause.
Yeah.
1 second.
No, it's fine.
No, you're good.
Just showing some people through. They're just doing Paz does a podcast.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the. I mean, not welcome, but I'm also part of the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. Yeah.
Upstairs
Yeah, no, we'll just pause. I was about to say some woke shit.
This is on the open.
Wait,
Drop
When
it.
it's open, you just head through there.
What was I about to say?
Just watch your step.
What were we talking about?
We're talking about growth.
This used to be just residents.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I developed. Anyway, so like when I started at PS, just to start the story again. When I started at PS, when I was going out and DJs would see me, they'd see me as like, oh yeah, he works in music, but he's the party boy.
Yeah.
Like he'll just like get fucked up and like dance, and like he'll be a great vibe, and like everyone loves Paz, but I feel like I've developed a very high level of like integrity and artist rapport, like that I'd never expected to. Where it's gone from like, oh yeah, he's so much fun, like we love Paz, he's just a bundle of joy, to like, holy shit, this guy sort of knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And like I've changed internally because of it. And still get fucked up though. Still have a good time. Trust me. If you find me out, I'm still gonna be bouncing around.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely a lot more chill and self-aware.
You're more grounded.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Killing it. Killing it, Parry.
Trying to. I'm a changed human.
You are. I think you've come such a long way.
I haven't matured though. I was such a child.
But you're also young. How old are you now?
20.
Yeah, you're so young.
No, I think I credit that a lot to Limmer as well. I've been in that environment for like a month, but like he's a legend. Because he's taught me like you can have fun, you can get fucked up, you can like go to all these parties and stuff, but you can still be professional as fuck and still be seen as someone that's super professional. So I learnt a lot of that from him.
Yeah. Shout out Jack Limmer.
Bro, shout out Jack Limmer.
Anyone else you want to shout out?
Shout out all the guests I've had on, man. Shout out everyone's still engaging. Shout out to Joel Brappy.
Shout out.
Joel, get the fuck on here. I think that... Oh my god, another focus as well. I want to talk about this as well. Actually, I will do a separate intro for this episode and talk about it. Shout out Joel Brappy. Shout out Lexi, Louisa, Nina. Shout out all the rappers I've had on. Shout out fucking Caitlin Medcalf for doing this. She didn't have to. I'm not paying her. I'm paying her in publicity.
Here for the chats.
I'm paying you in publicity and plus ones.
Yeah.
My
love it.
favourite form of payment.
I love
Shout out to
plus ones.
Morgab. Daddy.
Shout out Steel City.
Shout out Steel City Dances. Shout out to Tyler the Creator.
Yeah.
Shout out to the whole hip hop community.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brizzy.
You. Parry Talks.
Oh my god. We did it.
Do you want to talk about anything else?
I don't know, I'm trying to think. What else?
That was all my notes.
That's an hour 15. What about... Oh yeah. Speaking of independent creators, we got interrupted then by the guy that runs this NRL podcast called Bloke in a Bar. And that's like, he's broken into this like Fox Sports, Channel 9 world, doing like podcasts with these like rugby league players. So that's super sick.
That's a whole other world, hey.
And like they just walked in and we were just talking about podcasts I'm inspired by. And I love that podcast.
And he walked in and said, "Welcome to the podcast."
I'm going to keep that in. I'll keep it in.
That was great.
Shout out to everyone. Thanks for listening. Parry Talks.
Out.